said, I'm a short-term rental business owner, right? Like I leverage Airbnb. But at the end of the day, like I don't like just have an Airbnb business. I have a short-term rental business.
What does that mean?
So whether Airbnb is here or not, I'm still going to make money off these properties, right? So there's other sites. There's VRBO, there's booking.com. Matter of fact, travel nurses, right? Business professionals, right? So if you think about it, like the whole art of short-term rentals isn't new. There's always been housing for people that needed housing for short-term stays.
I see.
You know, Airbnb just made it popular.
Yeah. So, okay, I just need to adjust my mindset.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking Airbnb, these companies don't like Airbnb, but some people are like, it's a travel nurse, or in Delta. So they have what's called, what's it called? A flight pad or a travel pad or something like that. You know what I'm talking about? So Delta employees, something pad, okay? Like they fly into these different cities and they can go to this room. It's like a shared room, kind of. And I never really thought about it. Is Delta's probably finding somebody who either owns the property or a short-term rental specialist.
Releasing the property. Yeah. There's many different ways to make money off these properties. Again, Airbnb is just really one, aspect. And a lot of times people have asked like, hey, how did your Airbnb business do, during the pandemic, right? And I mean, I'm going to be pretty transparent. When the pandemic first was at its like high, all-time high, or just at its peak, we definitely, took like a hit in terms of like some cancellations, right? But then it just kind of forced me to pivot. That's when I tapped into travel nurses, because although there was a lot of chaos going on, guess what was at an all-time high? Travel nurses, doctors, health professionals that needed to go into hospitals in different cities and states all across the country. And I found these travel nurses to fill up my units. So the thing is, that's not a trend.
That's not a trend.
Health professionals aren't a trend. Business travel isn't a trend.
I be getting attached a little bit.
Yeah.
Emotionally. I like, if it's like the perfect space.
Yeah.
Remember the one we went to look at? Joe, you was there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was Reese there too?
Yeah.
Oh, you got the footage, right? So we walked through this. I think it was 30,000 square feet.
It was a big turd.
And it was. But I saw the beauty in it too.
Yeah, I saw the beauty, but it was a turd.
30,000 square feet, not far, around the corner. And what was impressive is it's this big building and there's no pillars on the inside. Right. So the way I'm looking at, like, we can have a concert in this joint. We could build this joint and like we have a Drake concert and it will hold the people. And I'm like, ooh, T, I like it. And she's like, yeah, it's all right. I'm like, but I don't know. I forgot how much they wanted. They wanted like $3 million or something like that.
It was up there.
It was just too much. Tara can't like the number.
Yeah.
So
it was just the numbers for me. It was just the numbers.
I'm looking at what we could do with the space, and you're only looking at the numbers.
Yeah, well, because the numbers is what bankrupt people. When they don't look at them, they get haircuts. You cannot buy real estate and not pay attention to the formulas. That is why we have formulas. So if you're going to invest as an investor, you gotta show respect to what's going to protect you, the numbers, right? And so, like, I'm like, David, we're going to have a whole lot of holding costs, for a long period of time. And we got to put in a lot of money into this. And you know what I'm saying? Like, the numbers just have to make sense. Now, if Homeboy was at $1 million, you'd be like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But they haven't, in this market, people will try to get you to overpay for something just because it's a trend. Because, Atlanta is so hot, the market is so hot, we're going to overpay, blah, blah, blah. And you got all this inflation. I'm not emotionally driven, and that's what keeps me protected, because I know this bubble eventually is going to pop, and we're going to eat. Like, we're going to eat like debit cake eat. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be good, And so I do believe the transfer of wealth is from the inpatient to the patient.
So tell me about the system that needs to be in place. Because right now, I'm still thinking in my head, I get an Airbnb, somebody books it, I reply to them, they check in, you tell them where the key is hidden or whatever you got to do, and then you manage that, right?
Right.
Tell me about the system that drives 40, because I'm sure you're not paying 40 rents every month, you yourself.
Right. So basically, the system is, what you mean, as far as setting up the Airbnb itself?
To where you can run it like a business and not be running around to every single Airbnb putting out every single fire.
Right. So I definitely, the system, I definitely have a house manager. So you can either have a house manager, you can have a VA, a virtual assistant, or you can either do it yourself. Like I say, 1 or 2 units, you honestly can manage it yourself if you have a little time on your hands each day. And also a cleaning staff. That's very, very important. You know, 1 unit, you really don't need a maintenance guy, but it's good to have a handyman on the side because you just never know if the apartment complex can't come right away or whatever. So, you know, of course, have a maintenance guy, which you can find at Home Depot to Lowe's. That's their favorite hangout spot. You know, just go and say, hey, can I have your number? You're a handyman, especially if they're on that side of town where your Airbnb is. And, you know, have all those people in place. So your house manager would make sure that the guest is, they reply to all the guests when they book, when they check out. They are handling the back end stuff, you know, making sure that the guest is okay, they check in okay. And your cleaning staff will be there every single day when somebody checks out that morning.
Right.
And to make sure that they're cleaning it. And the whole process is basically automatic, you know, automation, I mean. So basically, you know, we have keyless locks on all of our Airbnbs, so we don't have to worry about the guests losing the key or the handyman can't get in or the cleaners can't get in because of the key issues. They can just go right in and, you know, take care. And we can change it from our phone, change the password, you know.
All right, because I want to get into it. For somebody who is not they don't have an event space, because I have one, how hard is it to get into the game?
So I tell people all the time, it definitely varies. It's based on your moving cost. So like I've gotten event spaces for as little as like $5,000, and I've had event spaces where I had to hand over a check for $30,000. It really depends on how you structure your deals.
Give me the $5,000.
Right.
Well, give me a scenario where I got to come
So
off
typically, well, in every county, province, and state, it's different. But typically in New York, move-in costs, which is what you have to hand over to acquire a property if you're renting it and not buying the actual building, it's usually 1 month rent, 2 months security. So if your rent is $5,000, you're handing over a $15,000 check. Now, that's not always the case.
You said if your rent is $5,000.
If your rent is $5,000, so you have move-in costs. Move-in costs is what it costs to acquire the property.
Yes.
So if your move-in cost is 1 month rent, 2 months security.
2 months security.
Yeah, you're handing over 3 months of rent check. You're handing over $15,000 check. Right. So that's my point exactly.
I think getting this joint was like $4,000 or something like that.
That's what I'm saying. So it's different for everybody. Like I've gotten event spaces where just like all the landlord wanted was 1 month rent, 1 month security, and the rent is $3,000. I'm handing them over a $6,000 check, $5,000 check. And I also have, I've had other landlords where they're like, yo, I need like 4 months of, that was actually my first space that I actually got. They wanted 4 months of rent. And they wanted 4 months security, 1 month rent. And rent at the time was like $38.50. So I was handing over
4 months security?
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah, because especially, I'm not trying to say this to discourage anybody, but especially when like you're a new entrepreneur, you've never had an actual existing business, they want a little bit more skin in the game.
But that's New York, though.
That's New York.
That's nowhere near that here in Atlanta.
I know.
Bro.
That's New York is honestly, it is what it is. But yeah, in New York, everything's a lot more difficult. That's why they say like you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? So, and we out here making it in New York. So
yeah, that's real. Do I need to raise this up a little bit, Joe? We good? Okay. All right. Cool. So, all right. So you find a location. Do you buy or do you lease the spaces?
I lease the spaces. Yeah. I prefer to lease the spaces.
You don't buy any of the spaces?
Nah.
Why not?
I just see my money a lot faster. You got to understand, a New York property is extremely expensive, dude. The building that I rent, the same buildings that I'll pay $3,000 a month in rent in is a $3 million property. If I had to buy it, and you got to remember it's commercial real estate because I have a background in real estate too. I got a degree in real estate and a license. So it's like, you got to put 20% down on that. 20% down on $3 million property is what, like $600,000? How long do you think you're going to take to see your money? Right. As opposed to handing over, even if it's a $15,000 check, my company does $60,000 a month. I'm going to make that back in a couple weeks. We just acquired 2 new spaces where the rent I'm paying is ridiculous. I ain't going to go into the numbers and all that unless you need me to. But
let's go into the numbers. All
right, let's go into the numbers, right? All right. So one of the biggest things that I teach is, how to find these deals and how to like really, really structure them, right? So I don't look at turnkey spaces. What does turnkey mean? Turnkey basically means like it's ready to go. I never ever, you're digging yourself a grave if you're looking for a turnkey space. Why? Because think about it, it's all about leverage. Everything in business is leverage. If you go to a landlord and their space is top of the line, it's got HVAC in it, white walls, pristine floors, like look at something like this and it's ready to go, you got to pay a lot more money for that space.
This joint was a shell when we got it though.
Exactly. And that's probably why you were able to negotiate a lot more. The first event space I got, 1542 Fulton Street in Brooklyn, New York, it was garbage. It was dirt, literally dirt. Like we had to sweep it up, rip the tiles off and everything. It was dirt. But I was able to negotiate 4 months rent concession. Rent concession's free rent.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know about
that too, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I have people who approach me after, like, not, didn't take my course. I don't know. But a lot of people who don't do it, and then they find my page, they be like, yo, I didn't even know I could get a rent concession, bro. I'm just like, you ain't even know you had a Brian M and KN in your life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. So it's just, there's different ways to structure it. So the new deal that I got, we got 2 event spaces in Brooklyn, New York, East New York, actually, that's where I'm from. So they were asking, I always look for anything less than $25 a square foot. $25 a square foot, I would only pay if it's like turnkey. Yeah. $25 a square feet, $22 to $25 a square foot, I would only pay if it's like turnkey. Even before that, I looked before like really ideally $16 to $22 a square foot. So they wanted $19 a square foot. But the thing about it is they had 2 spaces left next to each other. I'm like, yo, I'll take both. Because I know that's going to give me more leverage. Leverage is the name of the game. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I'm like, yo, if I take both and I got to build it out, I know I can negotiate. So I got them down to $16 a square foot. My rent is $73.33 for 5,000 square feet in New York.
Wow.
One event, not at both locations, one event at one location for a full day core package is $8,000. I can pay my rent at that 2 locations in 1 day for both locations.
Dang.
And then also, I read this book called Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff.
Pitch Anything.
Pitch Anything is, so what people have 2 different sides of their brain. They have like this neurological side and they have what they call a crocodile side. So the main thing you want to do is not hit the crocodile side because crocodiles, they end up going to defense mode. So if I say something to you and say, look, listen, you want to sell your house. You want to sell your house for $200,000 and I say 100, instantly you in defense mode. I'm saying something that's kind of disrespectful. It's throwing you off. You burnt out. You ready to hang up. So now I'm saying things that's going to allow you to hit the other side of the brain. So one thing that you guys can do as people that's watching when you cold calling somebody is start out with the person's name. You have all their information already there. So, for example, I'm not going to say, hey, can I speak to David? First thing you're going to do is, who is this? You're going to hang up. Mm-hmm. Hey, David, how you doing today? I'm good. Who is this? Yeah. Oh, my name is Derek. I'm a real estate investor. I seen your property, and you go from there. But you bought more time, and then you kind of hit that other side of the brain because they trying to figure out who this is without going to defense mode. You sound like a bill collector instantly. You like, I'm not I'm not paying no money right now.
Right.
And that's how you kind of like utilize all these different tactics to get your deals. And then the best thing I was telling you to find your deals is utilizing, I like going straight to the source. I'm going straight to the people that already kind of want to sell their house. So we use like the expired listings method. We go after.
I like that. I want to play on your app for like after this is over. I just want to like just look and see what's going on in the streets.
Yeah, you really utilize this. I give you a login and all that. You can play with it.
No, that's crazy, bro. Yeah. All right, give me one more hack. One more hack.
So one thing that I like to do is when you're on PropStream. That's the system I was telling you guys, right? When you go on PropStream, you can literally type in the years of ownership. So if I type, what a lot of people don't do this, right? They'll just go to PropStream and they'll just type in, hey, I'm looking for houses in this zip code, right? So what I do is I'll go like 10 years ownership, 8 years ownership. Somebody that owned a house for some time now. A lot of times you might find a house or 15 years ownership. I'm going after somebody that had this house for a minute. They probably got some wear and tear. They probably tired of it. The kids probably grown and left. I'm going after the older people right out the gate, people that been and had this house for a long time. And that's the one way we kind of like get deals is by going after directly people that had that house for a minute and they probably want to get rid of it anyway.
You still got to have more money. You got to have money to build it out though.
So that's another thing. You necessarily don't. You know what I'm saying? Because my thing is that for one thing, people got to understand that like everybody gets caught up in like having their venue look a certain aesthetic and things like that. Like you would understand there's different types of clientele where people can only afford a certain amount. So like, yeah, you're designing your space to hit $5,000 clients or whatever, which is cool. That's great to shoot for. But you could work up to that. You don't necessarily have to go straight to the top. You could work up to that. So like my first space, I made a lot of mistakes in my first location. I definitely didn't make the same mistakes the third location. But what I did is that like I only did what I absolutely needed. Floors, good lighting, white walls. Done. Regular tables and chairs, like super basic.
So you get a space, your major focus is floors,
flooring, lighting,
wall
color, which is just paint the walls white. Because it could
Why
go
white?
Because it could go with any decor. If somebody has an under the sea theme, if somebody has like a Winnie the Pooh theme or anything, you're not worried about your purple walls conflicting with their theme. It's white. It's a blank canvas. That's actually where we
These are the little things people don't know, bro.
That's why I named my company Mannequin, because Mannequin is like a blank canvas. The Mannequin, Mannekin. It's a trademark, by the way. But it's like a blank canvas. What do you take with a mannequin? A mannequin, you dress it up however you want it to. All our venues are all white canvases.
Let's say commercial real estate. What are the numbers that you're looking at?
So one of the questions you asked me is like, yo, T, how you chop this up real fast, right? Now, this is not like this is just a quick formula. You still got to do due diligence. You still got to do different things like that, right? But I always look at the 100 times rule. So I look at the monthly gross income on any multifamily deal or any commercial deal, and I multiply it times 100. So take out your phones right now and you say, okay, it makes $15,000 a month gross. Times 100. What is that number?
Say it again. $15,000 a month.
Times 100.
1.5 million.
1.5 million. So
your formulas. You got to work on your formulas.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know they shouldn't be asking over 1.5 million for this building. Because that's a quick formula that investors use. And look, we didn't come up with this. I mean, the people that's been buying real estate before us, before the 400 years, came up with this. Like, you get what I'm saying? So all we doing is using the knowledge that they've been using, but now we're applying it correctly. So when you be like, yo, T, like, you sent me something, I'm like, yeah, they overpriced by this much. It was like, well, how? Because I just did a quick 100 times rule. So if it's not making any income and it have potential to be income, that's not my fault. I'm going to give them an offer based on the current condition, because I have to base it on what if I get 0 tenants? Now, I'm sure I'm going to get some, but I'm not basing my numbers to make them feel good. I'm basing my numbers on what I believe is my worst case scenario, so it can still be my best case scenario.
40 Airbnbs. And what is like the average that you expect from profit? Is it 2,500 or
not no more, because they all theme now, and that's why I encourage everyone to get a theme Airbnb, because that's where the money is made at.
Explain this to me.
So basically, instead of a normal traditional Airbnb with a nice, cute setup, couch, tufted, whatever, I theme it out. Like some of my Airbnbs is like maybe all pink, Barbie style, pink bar stools, pink sofa. I may even paint the counters pink, the ceilings pink, chandeliers maybe pink or gold or whatever. And instead of a normal Airbnb, now I'm got a theme Airbnb. I'm not even focused on tourists booking my Airbnb. I have a lot of locals that will book it for content, video shoots, photo shoots, business meetings or whatever, because I have a theme Airbnb, and now they would pay me whatever I offer, whatever I put it out there on the market, because nobody else has one like it on the market. It's not too many. So the supply and demand is definitely crazy when it comes down to theme Airbnbs.
Goodness, great. And so in a theme Airbnb, what do you expect to take home?
If you manage it yourself, you can easily profit 10 grand a month. Easily. But the value you bring is definitely different. So, of course, it's not going to be, you can't expect, okay, I'm going to do a theme and have the same budget as someone that has a regular Airbnb. Your theme is, you got to put more wow factors into your Airbnb.
So it costs more.
Yeah, because you're creating an experience now, I changed out most of my light fixtures. I put unique beds in there, unique sofas.
Hold on real quick, because we're going to get some numbers out here. So we're going to probably about 10,000 times 40, because you got 40. I'll just put it.
I got to pay the staff. I got to keep it real. I got to pay the team, though. I got a team to pay. So, got a team I have to take care of. My wife I got to take care of.
That's when 2017, I got into the real estate thing.
Gotcha.
Failed my test a bunch of times, then finally passed it. And then March 2017, I got my license. And from there to December, I went ahead and did like 16 deals, exactly 16 deals. It was more than that, but like a couple of them didn't go through because you bought a car the day before, you bought the house, like some dumb stuff like that. Right. So it would have been like 20-something, probably been like 26.
What were you doing to go get those deals?
Exactly. So now what I was doing was I was using social media. So I was literally doing posts. Like, let's say, for example, so this is funny, right? My whole following is like 70% women. So I knew that. right? So you can look at the insights, look at the analytics. So now, I don't want to be biased, but what do women like? They like nice kitchens, they like nice bathrooms, things like that. So I started posting kitchens.
Was the newfound beard? They got you on the...
Maybe, I don't know.
It could have been a beard.
Literally, when I look back at 2017, all my closings was like, if I had 16 closings, it was like 14 women.
Dang.
Yeah, all of them was women. So now, all my DMs is women. So now, because I'm posting kitchens, I'm posting bathrooms, I'm like, yo, women are crushing it. All this type of stuff. Women coming in. And they just like, I want to buy a house, I want to utilize you. And then what I realized, right, about women, and I don't want to sound sexist and nothing like that, what I realized is a lot of times, and one of my mentors said, figure out what's your ideal client. So I said, I went and looked at that and I said, you know what? My ideal client is a single woman, has over $10,000 saved, and they just ready to go. They just ready to buy something, right? And I realized that because now when a girl or a woman has a boyfriend or husband, he has all the say so, or somewhat has all the say so. And I realized that a lot of these dudes wouldn't even come look at the houses. A lot of dudes wouldn't even want to be involved. But now she trying to figure out, FaceTime me, or if he say he don't like it, it's over with. So then I really trying to target it more to that. And it was like, because now they're looking like, okay, I still want a male figure to kind of like take charge.
I see.
And I became that male figure. So now I'm like, I think this is a good spot. And they're like, if you say it's a good.
Yeah.
And I wasn't just trying to say it. It literally was like, I think that's a bad one. I think this is a good one. And that's how I really started running up like
that's
that.
Lit. That's lit.
Yes.
So
I knew exactly what my audience was.
Yeah, bro. I be trying to tell people, bro. You gotta know who you're talking to.
Yeah, you gotta know who you're talking to.
Because some people are like, yo, anybody that wants to buy a house. But if you don't, like, I think you're gonna catch the type of bait that you put out.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever bait you put out, that's the fish that you're gonna catch.
Mm-hmm.
And because people are putting out so much different bait, they're getting bites everywhere, but I can't necessarily tie you to, yo, this is my hero. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? This is the person that's always talking to me.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to grow a following that way. It's really hard to build a business that way. Find a location. How are you looking at the location?
So I definitely look for, I don't really care, since we're living in a digital era now, I don't really care about street presence anymore because I know I can market digitally. I don't care. My Fulton location is in a basement. Does $30,000 a month. Basement. So the way I kind of look at it is just, it's got to be in an accessible area. And the one thing I really look at is like I mentioned, you got to do market comp research. Like ooh.
Yeah, you're funny, bro.
So this is what I did, right? So when I first got into event space, I was like 22, right? I got my first event space. I'm just like, there's a lot of people in Brooklyn. Because like I mentioned, because even you said like in Atlanta, there's a lot of event spaces. In Brooklyn, I guarantee you there's more event spaces per zip code in Brooklyn than Atlanta. Guarantee you, or your money back. So I'm just like, all right, cool. How am I going to set myself apart from the crowd? What I got to do? What I did is I mystery shopped every single venue within a 5-mile radius of the location I was opening. Yo, how much you charge? How many hours? What do you provide? How many people? What's the square footage? Everything. Made a whole Excel spreadsheet of like 30 different venues. Yo, all right, where are we in the market? So I was just like, all right, cool. All the venues that charge this much, provide this. All the venues that are this big, charge that. And I just kind of like segue. I'm just like, all right, I'm going to be like just under, get my initial clientele, and then I'm just like slowly build up once I have a clientele. Mm-hmm. So that's how you really do it. So I don't really, once I get into a location that is like, people are like, you gotta look at urban metropolis areas. Like Brooklyn, everybody lives in like high-rise buildings, 60 units. They don't have space to have a party. Think about it, you live in an apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment, how you fit in 60 cousins and brothers and sisters. Right. So those are areas that I like to have my event space, which is Brooklyn, which is Atlanta too. Atlanta's really, really, high population. So once I figure that out, then it's like, all right, cool. What other amenities are they providing? Or do they have this type of lighting? Like a big thing is up lighting, like the colored lighting. People go crazy over that. I know event spaces that look like dirt, garbage, basura, but like they got really, really nice lighting, so people book them.